When young train driver Denis saw a pack of wolves standing on the tracks right in front of his speeding train, he thought the animals would scatter at the last moment. But the predators remained motionless, as if protecting something invisible to the eye. Taking a risk, the driver pulled the emergency brake lever, realizing he might not be able to stop in time. When the train finally came to a halt, just a few meters from the wolf pack, the Grey Guardian slowly stepped aside. The scene that unfolded left everyone who later heard this story stunned. The railway depot where Denis grew up had always been cold. He came from a family of hereditary railroad workers. His father and grandfather had passed down to him not only professional skills, but also a deep love for these lands. When the time came, he left for the city to pursue an engineering degree. However, the hustle and bustle of urban life, the thick, stifling air, only deepened his longing for home. Denis constantly recalled the scent of the taiga after the rain and the crunch of snow beneath his boots on a frosty day. Upon returning to his native village with a degree in engineering, he quickly found a job at the same depot where generations of his family had worked. He started with small tasks, but his determination and natural intuition did not go unnoticed. Gradually, he was entrusted with more and more responsible assignments. In time, Denis became a train driver. When he had gained enough experience, he was transferred to freight trains, the real iron giants that crossed vast distances across Siberia. Denis loved his work. Each trip was a small adventure, a chance to witness the untamed beauty of nature in all its glory. In winter, these landscapes became especially mesmerizing. Snowy expanses, trees in icy embrace, rivers shimmering like crystal. It was on one of those winter days in January, when the frost turned every breath into silver mist and the sunlight danced on the snow's crystalline surface, that something happened to Denis, something that would forever change his perception of the world around him. It was a routine trip. Denis was driving a heavy freight train through a snow-covered forest, enjoying the peaceful scenery outside his cabin window. His keen eyes were fixed on the endless railway tracks stretching into the distance. Suddenly, a few kilometers ahead, he noticed something strange on the tracks. The train driver's heart skipped a beat. An obstacle on the tracks always meant danger. However, the distance was too great to make out what exactly was blocking the way. Squinting, he tried to determine the nature of the obstruction, ready to apply emergency braking at any moment. As the train drew closer, the blurry shape took form. It was not a fallen tree or man-made debris. What he saw made his heartbeat quicken. There were animals on the tracks, and they didn't seem to be moving away. Approaching even closer, Denis gasped in astonishment. A pack of wolves. Their gray-white silhouettes stood out clearly against the snow. Something about their stance seemed unusual. These wary predators should have fled at the sight and sound of an approaching train, yet they remained motionless. Following protocol, Denis immediately sounded the horn. The powerful blast echoed through the taiga, bouncing off the trees. Normally, such a sound would send any wild animal running in fear, but to his utter shock, the wolves didn't budge. They stood firm, forming a living barricade across the tracks. Denis had only seconds to decide. Instinct told him to keep going. The train was too heavy to stop quickly, and wild animals usually fled at the last moment. Yet something about the wolves' behavior made him hesitate. After a moment of agonizing indecision, he yanked the emergency brake lever. The wheels screeched against the rails, shattering the taiga's silence with a piercing metallic cry. The train began to slow, but not fast enough. Denis shut his eyes, bracing for the inevitable collision. Every second stretched into eternity. In his mind, he pictured the massive train plowing into the living wall of wolves, and the thought made him shudder. Then silence. Opening his eyes, Denis realized the train had stopped just a few meters from the pack. But what he saw next made his breath catch in his throat. The wolves stood in a tight circle, heads raised, howling mournfully. They neither fled nor showed aggression. It was as if they were guarding something. Only when the danger of collision had passed did the predators slowly begin to part. What Denny saw then shook him to his core. Lying on the railway tracks was a man, an elderly man. At first, Dennis hesitated to leave the cabin, not knowing if the wolves would attack. But as if sensing his concern, the animals gradually withdrew into the forest. Once they were at a safe distance, Dennis, grabbing an iron poker for self-defense, jumped down into the snow and cautiously approached the motionless figure. With every step, his astonishment grew. He recognized the man. It was Stepan Mikhailovich, the local gamekeeper, already in his 70s. His entire life had been dedicated to protecting the forests and their inhabitants. Dennis had known him since childhood. Coming closer, the young train driver saw something that made his blood run cold. Stepan Mikhailovich's hands were cuffed to the rails. The cold metal had bitten deep into his wrists. Through trembling lips, the old man told a chilling story. Local poachers, long holding a grudge against the principled gamekeeper, had finally exacted their revenge. For years, he had foiled their illegal hunting, freeing animals from traps, tracking offenders, and reporting them to the authorities. Many wolves in these forests were alive only because of his tireless efforts. The poachers had threatened him many times before, but he never imagined they would dare such cruelty. They ambushed him during his patrol, knocked him unconscious, and when he awoke, he found himself chained to the railway tracks, waiting for the oncoming train. Hearing the train's horn in the distance, Stepan Mikhailovich had resigned himself to his fate. But then, something unbelievable happened. From the depths of the forest, a pack of wolves emerged. These proud, cautious predators, the very ones he had protected for years, encircled the old man, standing guard over his frail body, just in time to stop the approaching train. Now, every time Denny passes through that stretch of forest, he slows the train and carefully scans the surroundings. Because he knows there are eyes watching, wild yet wise, hidden in the shadows of the taiga.